Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
All right, here we are. Fancy, right? It was interesting.
Fancy. We're upgrading over here. I love it.
Yeah, we're using StreamYard now to do the episode. So it is Scagz here, and I'm joined today by G Money over there. Garrett the Samurai is here, and we're waiting on the captain. He was having some technical difficulties as well with his audio portion of this, so we switched over to StreamYard. I was having some issues on Twitter as well before, but I think I got it up now. Kind of manually overrode it, but here we are. Talk about a couple things going on today. Bridges are falling. A whole bunch of crazy shit is going on. I know me and you are going to be going down the rabbit hole and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of distractions, a lot of I told you so's. So I think we should just hop right into it. So I'm getting excited. So. I'm actually sitting up. I'm ready to rock, baby.
I think so. So the three, I guess you could say probably like three main topics, right?
Yeah.
Wanted to discuss Trump gave an interview to Israel Hayam the other day, kind of laid out his position on the war in Gaza for the first time, which I think is very interesting because he's kind of playing coy on that. So Chris says he's retiring from podcasting.
Yep.
That looks like it's going to be just
audio, even on YouTube. So, all right.
So I want to play some of Trump's comments from his interview to this Israeli newspaper. And I think then we'll also talk about the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing. That's an interesting one. And P. Diddy, boy, P. Diddy is in some trouble. What kind of trouble is he in? We don't know, but he is in some sort of trouble.
We're gonna go hard on that one.
Yeah, so I was thinking like the order. Yeah, the order. I think we should stick with Trump first.
Yes,
because I know the other two things. Me and you, you're gonna spin us up, and we're gonna be going on down the rabbit hole on those. So that could be we could be going for hours on that. So let's stick to like the organized news piece.
I'm okay with it. Listen, it's your job to keep me in line. I'm a madman, you know that.
Yeah. All right. So I'll play the video. Like I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Trump's been very like ho hum on the Israel-Gaza war. Like I don't know what his position is for most of this. I think that wasn't by mistake. I think that was like a calculated decision. Definitely, he decided to kind of play close to the chest.
Wow, I mean, look at anybody who speaks out about it. Just look at Candace Owens.
Oh yeah,
the past couple days, right? She's been toting the line and everything else, whether you like her or not, whatever it is, what it is. But just using her as an example, if you're not toting that line, they have a problem with it, especially Daily Mail, So, and she decided to just say, I'm sick of toting the line. Like, I'm going to call spade a spade. This doesn't look right. This don't pass the sniff test, everything else. And boom, what happened?
Yeah. And I think for Trump, it's a little bit different. For Candace Owens, it was interesting. She kind of like lost her job at, Daily Wire. But for Trump, it's different because he's vying for votes. He's running for president, right? So I think there's some strategy that's been going on this whole time. Why he hasn't really spoken much about it. But this is interesting. So there's a 4-minute video off the internets here. Let's see if we can easily transition to this. There we go. Okay. So this is from Israel Hayam. Trump to Israel Hayam. Only a fool would have not acted like Israel on October 7th. In an exclusive interview, the 45th president blames Joe Biden for the war in Israel. He can't talk. He's a very dumb person. He's a dumb person. His foreign policy throughout 50 years has been horrible. If you look at people that were in the other administrations with him, they saw him as a weak, ineffective president. They, Hamas, would have never done that attack if I were there. Speaking from his Florida home, he expressed his disappointment with Jews who do not support him. They hate Israel. I just wanted to read that because it's just such a Trump little excerpt there. So there's about the first 4 minutes of this clip. 4 minutes is a bit long for us to listen to, but I want to make sure everybody sees the full context of the 4 minutes, of course, especially after the bloodbath thing. Making up everything about him. So I thought that was important. Anytime you want me to pause and you want to chime in, just let me know. All right.
Sounds good. Go ahead. Let it rain. No audio.
No audio, you said, huh?
Nah, there's no audio. I know there's a little switch you got to do on your end when you put it up, and there's got a thing you're gonna have to hit over there to get audio.
Let's see.
Just bear with us. First time on stream.
Let's try that again.
Decision
How about now?
You took as a president for the Jewish.
Let's start over.
So, Mr. President, thank you for having the time for this interview, and congratulations for clinching the Republican nomination.
Thank you.
Israelis remember the historic decision you took as a president for the Jewish state. Now we are under a war. And our first question is whether you support Israel's goal to completely destroy Hamas.
Okay, so let me just explain why it's so sad. If I were president, you would have never been attacked because Iran was broke. They had no money. China couldn't buy oil from them because otherwise China wouldn't be able to deal with the United States. I said to China, I said to many nations, 47 nations. I spoke to many of them personally. If you buy oil from Iran, you will not do any business in the United States, and we're going to tariff your products. Every single one of them agreed. I didn't lose one, not one. And Iran did almost no oil business. You know that. Nobody would buy oil because of me. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for anybody. And now they're sitting with $221 billion in cash, and they control Iraq, which has $300 billion in cash. It's like a subsidiary. Whether you like it or not, it's like a subsidiary because stupidly, the United States went in and blew everything up. You know, you had two countries that were sort of equal in power, and one of them got blown up by the United States. And now Iran has a big advantage in the Middle East over a lot of other countries. When I saw...
I will stop there. Trump is smart enough to understand the blunder that was the first and second war.
Captain.
I am so sick of this fucking shit.
Don't say it. Don't
All right,
say
I think no, we're like 9
minutes.
minutes in.
5 minutes.
Yeah, Captain wasn't here for the pre-briefing where we said we're not going to curse.
Yeah,
the first 5 minutes because
the
we're on
entire
YouTube.
whole new, nice, way more expensive laptop than my little piece of shit that's sitting over there. Audio completely gone. Completely. It worked perfectly Saturday, right, Scagz?
Yeah,
full conversation. I did everything. Didn't touch this computer since Saturday. I had to update the laptop to get audio back.
Yep, that's what happens.
Unreasonable.
Unreasonable.
Captain is like damn it, Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park. The guy, remember when he touches everything and it just stops working? Like he touches like the screen and it gets static.
Yeah. For as I mean, there was when I was in grammar school, we took like computer class and stuff like that. I'm sure you remember that, Scagz. From then, and I'm talking like 7 years old, every computer, any technology I touch does not work. I can't tell you at my parents' house how many printers I went through. We never owned and I'm talking for 20 years now, we have never owned a printer that has ever worked. They all met the same demise, a baseball bat.
Yeah, we were going to say, we have to office space your old computer there.
Yeah.
So we'll keep playing this here, but we just got into the first topic, which is Trump giving the interview to Israel Hayam. He's talking about it's kind of the first time he's giving his like really flushing out his position on the war in Gaza and all this stuff. I was just commenting before you got in. I was like, this is interesting because sometimes I'll say Trump is dumb or I feel like he hasn't read a book, but he is smart enough to, I think, be really savvy on things like this. Like he understands that the first and second Iraq wars were blunders, right? And they destabilized the region. Iraq was and Saddam were kind of like a buffer against Iran. They're two different types of Muslims. They're not friends. So he understands like that whole aspect of it. So I think sometimes people, obviously even people on the principled side want to like dismiss him, that he doesn't know because it's kind of the way they presents himself, very like
It's
layman's
just people
terms.
underestimating
you know
Trump.
what?
Right.
That guy, he's also done business in every part of the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's dealt with every single nationality, religion, everything else, and still comes out successful somehow. So he does know how to do it. That whether you like his son-in-law or not, Kushner, he's Jewish, so his daughter converted to Judaism, so he deals with that aspect of it, a lot of stuff, but he has business partners that are Middle Eastern, and not partners, but has done business with all those areas.
Yeah. He definitely has. He's definitely well versed.
He's been a dignitary on the private side,
Funny how people already forgot he was a businessman.
Yep.
He was hated so much.
Yep.
So, Mr. President, thank you for.
It's cut off, so I'm going to go back to where we were at. We weren't that far in.
We can listen to this whole thing.
4 minutes. I was saying before, I want to give the full context of his comments, unlike the bloodbath people.
Because Iran was broke, they had no money. China couldn't buy oil from them because otherwise China wouldn't be able to deal with the United States. I said to China, I said to many nations, 47 nations. I spoke to many of them personally. If you buy oil from Iran, you will not do any business in the United States, and we're going to tariff your products. Every single one of them agreed. I didn't lose one, not one. And Iran did almost no oil business. You know that. Nobody would buy oil because of me. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for anybody. And now they're sitting with $221 billion in cash, and they control Iraq, which has $300 billion in cash. It's like a subsidiary. Whether you like it or not, it's like a subsidiary because stupidly, the United States went in and blew everything up. You had two countries that were sort of equal in power, and one of them got blown up by the United States. And now Iran has a big advantage in the Middle East over a lot of other countries. When I saw October 7th, it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen because there was no reason for it. They would have never, ever done that for two reasons. Number one, they were broke. And number two, I was the president. They would have never done that because they knew there would have been very big consequences. All right. That being said, you have to finish up your war. You have to finish it up. You got to get it done. And I'm sure you'll do that. And we got to get to peace. You can't have this going on. And I will say Israel has to be very careful because you're losing a lot of the world. You're losing a lot of support. But you have to finish up. You have to get the job done. And you have to get on to peace. You have to get on to a normal life for Israel and for everybody else.
So if you re-elect in a few months, once again to vice president, and Israel still may be in a war, how would you help Israel?
Well, look, there has been no president better to Israel than me. Iran wanted to make a deal. And what the deal, 90% of the deal that I want to make is no nuclear weapon. That's 90%, almost 100%. It might be 100%. That's all I want. No nuclear weapon for Iran. And it's so sad when I see what's happening in Israel and Ukraine and other places, many other places. Inflation. You take a look at inflation. We wouldn't have had inflation that was caused by his stupid energy policies. And it's too bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country. I'm a very loyal person. I've been loyal to Israel. I've been the best president in history by a factor of 10 to Israel because of all the things I do. The embassy, Jerusalem being the capital, the best location for the embassy, and getting the embassy built. But then you have Abraham Accords, and then you have Golan Heights. Nobody even thought that was going to be possible. I did that, and I did it because of a lot of reasons. Israel has to do what they have to do, but we have to get to peace because the world is turning, and it's not a good thing for Israel. What's happening is not a good thing.
I want to share with you a question that in our minds, every leader in the world should reply. How would you react if, God forbid, it was your children or grandchildren who were kidnapped by Hamas or suffering the horrors that so many Israelis were going through on October 7?
On October 7, I would say I would act very much the same way as you did. You have to be crazy not to. Only a fool would not do that. That was a horrible attack. But it was an attack that I blame on Biden because they have no respect for him. He can't put two sentences together. He can't talk. He's a very dumb person. He's a dumb person.
We see changing now to.
They change topics now, and they move on to the economy and away from the war.
Yes. Well, they wanted to put him on. They wanted to put him on the hot seat, right?
Yeah,
and I think he turned it around on them very, very. You know, whether you like him or hate him, like he is good at turning it and navigating it the way he needs to do it and everything else. But he's not wrong, you know. I mean, obviously, you know, he wants to go out there and say he supports it, but everybody else is also seeing the atrocities that are happening on certain ends, whether you agree with it or not, whether you're pro or not. Like, it's war. Fucked up shit happens in war. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people, and you know, Biden's whole base is turning on him, you know, and you're seeing that.
What's amazing though is like, so what are you going to do to help? What are you going to give us? Send us money. What are you going to do? Give us something. Help. And I liked his point about you got to end your war and you got to end it quickly. The only reason this is going on the way it's going on is because Biden is in office and it's 100%. Being allowed to go on and on. We're talking about one of the most militarized nations versus literally just, you know, a hole in the wall of savages, as they call them. There was one line, I was reading that interview earlier where I don't know if I had missed it earlier in the video or if it was the next part, but you know, Trump's 100% right with saying the world is watching, you're losing support, because the world's not as stupid as it used to be. It's still pretty stupid, but people are coming around, and you can't just have this shadow genocide war, you know what I mean, and expect to get away with it anymore. You know, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, definitely they could just commit complete genocide and we would all be in support of it because we know no other way. But there was a line in a questioning where you know, Trump goes on about oh, you know, you were raining those buildings down on people, and the response was like, well, there's terrorists inside. Yes, but there's also families inside. You're losing support because you're killing innocent people, and your objective is to commit genocide. People have caught on to this. You could end this war very quickly, covert, you know, pinpoint strikes, boots on the ground, take out these guys hiding in these hidey holes, and the war is over. But we're prolonging it because it's all part of a greater scheme.
Yeah, like practically, I think you're right. Like that, you know, if I was the king of Israel or something and I've made the decisions on the ground of who did what, they do have the capability to do like that strike in the West Bank when there was some Hamas guy in the hospital somewhere in the West Bank, and they found out and they sent in commandos dressed as civilians and they killed the guy like in the hospital bed. They got the capabilities to do shit like that, and
they've been doing this shit for years.
Yeah. When it comes down to Trump, though, man, I mean, this is some smooth political operating in this video. I have a tweet later. I'll just spoil it now. One of my tweets a week. He manages here to somehow not alienate the America First, like the real America First crowd, you know, the Zionist Israeli crowd, and the leftist crowd. He manages to somehow give an interview in Israel or to Israel and not really outright alienate any of those three camps in the one interview, right? He's
the greatest president by 10 times. He said it himself.
I mean, of course, like I have problems with some of the things he said in there, but I think this showed me that he's aware of the thing I've said previously in other episodes where, you know, like Biden is not aligned with his base on this war. And it doesn't matter. These kind of like,
it's not aligned with his own sanity.
Yeah. But on this issue, like he might lose the election on this issue. This might make leftists not turn out to vote for him. And, you know, he's not aligned with them on it. I thought that this came out on the same day that the Biden administration, they actually finally, the UN Security Council voted for a ceasefire.
And then the Biden administration blocked it.
They didn't actually. No. They finally did vote for it. Now it's just a ceasefire, a name. Like Israel's just like, no, you know, and so Hamas, obviously,
we're gonna still do our gangster shit no matter what. So
I'm wondering if like they released this interview the same day. Like I'm talking about very smooth political operating.
Yeah, it's all planned.
You know what I mean? Like Biden, the Biden administration finally votes for ceasefire. Then here comes a Trump interview to the Israeli public, where he sells it as like, you see, this is why I'm better than Biden, you know, on the same day that they vote for the ceasefire.
Well, there's no coincidences, but you bring up a good point how like Biden's not aligned with like his following and stuff. It just shows, and I mean, nobody here on listening to this podcast, he's a puppet. We all know it. And it just shows even more, the low-hanging fruit of the situation. It just shows that there is people pulling the strings that are greater than Biden and the presidential seat, and they don't care that his base is not there, which brings me into, I've been going on and on with anybody that'll listen to me about the whole great replacement theory. I think Democrats in the establishment have pushed us so far that they're not even looking for us to vote for them anymore. They're just shipping in voters from around the world.
Right. They are literally trying to import new ones. I do think that they care. Not that they care about people. They don't care about that. I do think that they care about losing voters, because you've seen Biden's strategy kind of change the past month or two on Israel, where he started dropping care packages in there, even though some of them hit people and killed them.
Did they kill people?
Now they voted for the ceasefire resolution. I think they've tried the old fashioned virtue signal, and but the policy will remain the same. They're not actually going to pull funding. They actually just signed off on more funding to the Israeli government, I think last week.
We just fund everybody.
Virtue signaling, at least in the right direction to their base. So maybe now they're thinking, hey, we got to virtue signal to the base. Maybe the base will come vote for us, especially after some of these primaries where Biden lost to no one. I think in Michigan or whatever it was.
It's crazy, but the base is pro-Palestine, which is they have to do a complete about face. And no longer
even wilder part is while the trans community is pro-Palestine as well.
Oh, that's always been such a joke.
It's see just, that?
I'm
bro,
I always talk about
you guys don't even know what you be in
exactly. Yeah, go over there and go over there and protest from the rooftops, because
I know
you will be.
Yeah, you won't be up there very long.
It's just idiots marching to their own death. I always talk about that when we have Second Amendment conversations and people are anti-gun. You're just marching to your own demise. 100%. It's all you're doing. They are tricking, the establishment, NWO, whoever, is just tricking you into walking into your own demise. Hitler threw you into the ovens. These people will put a smile on, give you a sticker. I went to the oven today, and you'll walk in grinning ear to ear, no problem.
All right, this is getting pulled down from you. Definitely not.
That was Cap.
It was a funny joke, though. I'll give you that. It was a good joke.
No, I mean, his point was made.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, we're seeing it over and over and over again. It's I just have I don't know. I have zero patience for stupidity anymore. That's just kind of where I'm at. So, but I think that was a good synopsis of how that interview went and what was going on with that. But man, I mean, I don't know. I'm sick of Israel and Palestine. I'm just sick of hearing it. I'm sick of we all know it's fucked. We all know it's just it's.
I'd like to see him
everything
elaborate.
We've been doing is been a shit show.
Yeah, of course.
Biggest fatigue I've had in the past several months has been Israel and Palestine.
That's why we shouldn't be involved in it, right? And and I'm sure the three of us agree, our funding shouldn't go towards it anymore.
No. But pay your taxes in 2 weeks, boys.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about
it.
Else.
Or else. 80,000 IRS agents armed to the teeth going to come to your door.
Two more observations. I felt like the interview was edited. There's a couple of not organic breaks in there, after a question, and then so there might have been something
edited on his end or their end.
No, on their end. They curated perhaps some of the things they talked about, and because there was some unnatural transitions from one thing to another. And the second thing is just I'd like to see well then what is your position also on funding, right? Because again, how can you purport to be America first? And then when you become president, if the funding is the endless funding, that's you going to Israel, or if he'll keep that hum they won't reference that or something.
That's kind of was the beginning of the end for Ron DeSantis. You know what I mean? Ron DeSantis, everybody was so excited to see that he was going to run, and despite the fact that he was a wet blanket on stage, he still supported and funded Ukraine. And everybody was like, wait a minute. So that's actually a really good point to try and hammer out like an answer from Trump on like,
even one
do
of
you
the
want to
funding,
continue funding them? You know,
That would have
one
been
of
a good question, but they're not going to ask that, or maybe they
But
did.
but even one of the recent funding bills, like they put a clause in it, like if Trump got elected and he was in office and he stopped funding, they had
I don't know if that went through, but
yeah, I don't think it went through.
No,
and
but
that was
that's
the
what they were
thing,
like.
yeah.
They're trying to run. They're trying to
is
write shit
genius.
like that in there,
Genius, by the way.
which is also insanity, though.
Yeah.
Like you're like trying to breathe. Like, all right, we're spending this money, and no other president that comes in can stop this money from being spent. Like, what happens if you did it wrong? Because I don't know. Everything I've been talking about for the past 5 years is coming true. Like, so
shocking.
you know,
Did you guys see that? I'm sorry. Did you guys see that in the funding bill, the recent funding bill that they just passed? I think it was like the spending bill of $1 trillion or whatever. Someone did actually sneak in there that no more Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ flags on U.S. government buildings.
Yeah,
like someone snuck that in there, and it got through. And now the Biden administration is like, oh, we're going to like amend that part and fix it because that wasn't supposed to be in there. Or not. But so twofold, obviously, when I saw that, I'm like, wow, they outlawed that. That's fucking weird. No, they didn't intend to, but it also shows you that like no one reads this shit.
Nobody reads it.
Not even the people who are like trying to ram it through.
What's I don't know if it was true, but isn't Elon Musk trying to come up with an AI that'll take like the 1,000-page summaries of this stuff and like
give you cliff notes
and give you like a 2-page like synopsis of like what it's trying to do.
Dude, I've been saying forever, like they can't have 1,000-page bills. Like,
dude, if
we're working on the telephone line, the head of the bill needs to be telephone company, and it's got to be a 1-page summary. This is what we're doing. This is what's going in. You got your bullet points. Do you want to pass this? Yes or no? Because once you start going into even 500 pages, 1,000 pages, somebody's rolling them out on carts. Like that. They're like, this is section 1.
Well, remember when Trump first got into office and he started cutting all the red tape and he showed like all the I'm gonna butcher it, but like all the forms and things you had to go through during the Obama administration, and they came out in pallets, and he's like, here's what mine's going to look like. And it was just like one pallet, a quarter of the size of like the 6 pallets they had.
Yeah. Government, right? Like not only do they not read the bills,
you want
but they're
something to get fucked up, you let the government
save the trees, but we're printing on bajillions of fucking
cut down all the trees to save the trees.
Get your paper straws, shut up.
Well, what was the last thing that we were talking about just a week ago where it was, a disaster's happening and the government's going to show up to fix it? We just talked about that last week. I forgot already.
I don't know. I don't remember what happened. There's so many things happen every week.
I know.
Like even this episode, it's like spin the wheel. What do you even want to talk about?
All right, let's move
fucking
on.
things going on today. A bridge fell down.
Bridge fell down.
P. Diddy. Those are the other two
False
topics.
flag event.
Yeah, by the way, Cap, you weren't here for that. We decided we were going to do the Trump thing first because we could kind of try and stay, like to the news on that one. And these next two topics are going to go way down the rabbit hole, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we got just under 100 viewers, so let's take them for a little ride.
I mean, I'm sure everyone saw at this point today the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Which is very weird. And
that
very
Biden has traveled across on a train multiple times.
Yeah. Right. So bring it up, but I think it's very symbolic too that bridge fell into the water.
Well, isn't it like the busiest port in all of America?
Even that. It's the Francis Scott Key, and they wrote the Star Spangled Banger. The Star Spangled
Banger.
Banger.
No, Garrett, that's a good point, man. That was like one of the first things I thought.
It's just like
this morning.
I don't know. In my way, if you're looking into it a little bit, it's almost like falling of the old guard. This is like subliminal weird shit that's going on. Because we all know it's a red flag or Black Swan event or something like that. We all know
this isn't a Black Swan event.
This is the reason this was built is to do all the chemicals. They built this specifically to like move hazardous materials, all that other stuff.
This port area,
be able to, this bridge too. was to move all that hazardous material and to move
So
a lot of like diesel fuel and stuff like that they couldn't get out of the port, that they didn't have the trains for, because we said there's no train tracks on it. But that was like a main artery. So by them taking this down, it's actually a smart strategic move, because all those ships stuck in port, all the ones that can't get in, and then all that infrastructure and supplies that have to go to a little, because I think it's like the 9th busiest port in the country. So I mean, you know, that's going to definitely put a damper on a lot of situations in this area.
Let's play the video, and this is a sped up video.
there's so many videos.
Is this the one where it does the quick Yui that I sent you?
Sped up video.
Yep.
Perfect.
Let's play this one instead of the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right hard turn into, into it.
Oh God. Oh,
It falls like, you ever, Scagz, you have a small child. Garrett, you have a few. You ever play like
a few, he said.
Yeah, you have a few dozen monsters running around back there.
Yeah.
You ever play with like children's blocks and like you knock
You're
them over and they just
hard
go,
turn.
yeah, they fall the exact same way. It does not make sense how this bridge fell like that. Do you see the other one of the guy pointing out the explosions?
I did.
Yeah, we and Garrett already had
don't like that one.
debate
We
on.
went into it.
So yeah, let's start with that. Some people point out like there's explosions on the.
Well, do you see
we're
where
gonna
it
see one
breaks?
here.
There
Hold
was
on.
explosions
Go
in, on 9/11.
I mean, there's electricity wired into the bridge, and I was trying to make the point to Garrett in our text messages. I'm like, this is an external thing breaking the electricity on the bridge. It's not like at home when you blow your outlet and the circuit breaker stops your whole house from exploding.
Yes,
this has nothing to do with
they
the
run
circuit.
all that stuff underneath the bridge, though. So
Yeah,
and
there's
I
lights
understand
on
that
top
there
of the
are
bridge.
lights.
There's wiring.
I understand that, but if
You're
you go
giving
back,
too much of the benefit of the doubt.
There was cars on the bridge too. There was trucks.
Yeah. How? So nobody died, right?
Oh,
No,
people
they
died.
said no,
Bro,
no.
people
Oh, okay. I thought this morning
this
you
is
guys
like
were
my
saying that
worst
no one
fear
died.
on lock,
Yeah.
like going over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, like where you can't go nowhere. I'm like, what do? You fall. Like, where do you go? Like, you're just, that's your casket, that truck, you're in it. Like,
this is like when you're a kid
look,
and you're
look
going
at this
over
top.
a bridge.
I can't look at it in the left, right? A little bit towards the left, like 1/3 over. See how it blasts up top and then folds? Like,
there wasn't even a light there.
It folds right
There's
where
no
it blasted.
there. It's
where we're talking about here.
I'm pointing. No, next
over.
one over where it breaks.
Right
Right there.
Bring it back up to the top.
No light. There's no light, and now light.
Now it breaks.
But that's where. But
that
okay.
is.
But
So
it
if
already
it's
was.
just-
Well, hold on. One at a
If it's
time.
just a transformer, Scagz, like it wouldn't like blow and then drop. Like it would. You know what I'm saying?
It already broke though. Like look, it already buckles in
Boom.
that area.
See that flash?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
with the
already
flash.
buckling. As it's already buckling. There's a
don't know.
disconnection of whatever wiring is up there that's giving power to the lights on the bridge. I don't think the bridge was wired with explosives ahead of time, dude. You literally
They
just saw
didn't
a
think the
fucking
buildings,
freight ship
those two big
crash into
buildings
the
were
support
wired
beam.
either, but
Yeah.
they were.
And they
Okay,
felt
but
like
one thing
demolition
doesn't
blocks.
necessarily mean the other. How many times have we spoken about that?
Scagz, I love
Dude,
how
how many
you
times have we spoken about that?
I
Just
know, but I
because
love
there's
how you
crazy
have so
people in
much faith
charge?
in the government still.
What the fuck does a cargo ship crashing into a bridge have to do with having faith in the government?
I think
There's
it's
car
very-
accidents every day. Are all those conspiracies because of the government or something like that? Like,
Depends
I'm not
if
saying
they're-
that there's not. There
depends
is some
if they're
suspicious
electric.
shit here. There is suspicious
We
stuff.
did go
here.
over Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay, we did go over that last week.
Okay, that's
Scagz.
one.
Get
That's
with the
one.
program.
So,
See,
all right,
you asked me for an
gentlemen,
example, and I give it.
Calm down. You guys have been arguing for 6 weeks straight. All right. My question, and I mean, we really would need an architect or an engineer or somebody who works on bridges here, because we're just three morons. But isn't like a bridge structured to take weight in different locations? So if something is damaged on one side, it should be strong enough to hold it. That's why there's all the cross beams and the triangle. You know, I don't even know the correct term. I'm sorry,
I mean,
YouTube.
that's
The
a lot of weight
triangles and
slamming into that.
This
though.
looks like an old bridge too. This isn't like some
Yeah,
brand
it felt
new
like it
model.
was an old
Yeah.
bridge.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's super old. I mean, we can look that up, but like, I don't think it's super old. But I mean, it also did hit like a base pylon
Yeah.
with a full container. Like, just think, like, you bring it, even if you're
47
looking
years
at
old.
that, those containers, that's like one tractor trailer full of
Mhm.
shit, and it's just stacked, and that's weight on water where it's just like there's no friction.
Well,
like, There's no slowing it down.
Yeah. Let's talk though. Let's stop talking about explosions and the
But look at the
engineering
hard
of a
left it
bridge.
makes.
Yes, the hard left is. I didn't notice that until maybe a few hours ago when that video came. Because the video of it this morning, it just looks like they drove into it.
No,
So
but they sped it
let's-
up. So
Let's
it
play
takes
it one
a
more
lot
time.
to turn something that big,
Yes,
too, guys.
let's
Especially
play
with no power.
Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's play it one more time. Let me give you guys my thoughts on what's happening in the video. Now this is sped up, so that's not how fast it actually happened in reality. It was much slower. This is compressed
sped
into
up like 8
into
times,
18
they
seconds,
said,
right? Right. So this is it again. Now let's go back. There's a power failure, right?
Yes.
You could see the power failure on the ship right here. There's no lights. Power seems to come back on, and you see how the smokestack lights up, right? And smoke starts coming out. That tells me what happens when your car, like let's say your carburetor is flooded and your car stalls, and you try to start the engine again. What usually happens? A ton of smoke usually ends up backfiring and billowing out of the engine. So that leads me to believe they're trying to restart the engine. The engine's dead. They're trying to restart the engine. That's why the smoke's coming out of the smokestack. Seems like they have another power failure again. Right. And so my guess is they've lost complete control of all controls of the ship, the rudder, the steering, the engine's not working the way they want. They're probably in the dark in the control room as well. It's dark outside and there's no lights on the ship. Maybe they have some emergency power or whatever. Dude, you lose control of a ship like this at a critical moment where you're trying to pass underneath a very narrow, causeway like that. It's dangerous. That's why normally you have like a pilot or a tug like guiding you or pushing you out in some of these scenarios. And you don't often, I mean, maybe you do. Again, I'm not a fucking, this should be your area of expertise.
This is what I'm saying. You're talking
You're the real
captain.
captain.
I don't know. Like when I've gone on cruises, usually like the pilot like leads you out, right? In these like very,
well, no,
tight
a cruise ship can do it under its own. They don't have a tugboat, but yeah, there should have been some type of guide, but once again,
you can't
I'm
just
not
like
a real.
step on the brakes on a car.
No, you can't. You can't.
And this is a narrow crossing here for it to pass under. It's a large ship. I don't know.
But still, that turn is very suspicious because you have the rudders. You have the rudders on the boat, and there's no power. There's no power. Then there's power. So now, what did they just have the wheel cranked to the right or whatever?
It does look like they actually at the end there. It does look like they at the last second tried to
hit the pylon. Yeah.
No. Look at the direction there. Look at the direction it's turning. It starts turning. Maybe it hit the pylon. I don't know.
It's so weird the way this bridge falls, man.
It is, and again, like this is my worst nightmare as a child when you're going over the bridge.
100%.
Like the bridge is going to collapse and I'm going to fall in the water.
I went over
Whitestone
Whitestone the other week, and I have a big truck, and there was another, just like squeezing in between on the right lane, being like, all right, I'm going to bounce off this car right over and off the bridge I go.
Yep.
Man, I wish that may be upon my worst enemy.
Used to going over the Tappan Zee, and you could like see straight down through because the car.
I had a buddy who would ride motorcycles to college, and he lived in Rockland, and he would ride his motorcycle, and he said, dude, where those iron grates are, he's like, they're there because there's no bridge left. He's like, he literally stopped in traffic and he looked down and he could see water.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Hey, remember when the crane fell on the Tappan Zee Bridge? Was that the government as well trying to stop things? Like accidents like this happen.
Maybe.
Again,
that's why it's named the Como Bridge.
So hang on. Let me make my point, and then Garrett, go free. You're free to go whatever. I think the idea that like there was explosives planted on the bridge is dumb. I don't think that's what happened. I think there's more merit to if you're going to say this was some sort of nefarious act. Maybe the ship got hacked, right, by a cyber attack, and they were like trying to manage being cyber attacked.
The only problem is
it was an accident, and just and they lost control and it hit the bridge and the bridge came down. I don't think it was like them who did it. But I actually texted you. The ship was leaving. It wasn't coming in from somewhere else. People were like, it's a terrorist attack from another country. The ship was in port in America, leaving to go to Sri Lanka to bring cargo out there.
Well, I'm sure one of the millions of military-aged immigrants.
Yeah, like there are sleeper cells here.
What I was going to say, though, was was it's very plausible that it was hacked. The only problem is I'm pretty sure the CIA did the hack.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, the issue is like, yeah, I mean, if you obviously they've been talking about cyber attacks, hacking, everything. I just think the timing is very interesting with multiple things. One, like so many things happen, but do people forget that Russia just had like one of their biggest terrorists? They basically had their October 7th and 9/11 just happened to them.
Right.
Okay. So people aren't talking about that, where like basically that's the equivalent, let's say, of somebody going into MSG, blowing it up, lighting it on fire, and shooting 130 people in there. Right. That would be comparable to 9/11. That would be comparable to October 7th for
January
Israel,
6th.
right? Okay. Yeah. January 6th, definitely. Right. But that just happened. And then we have a tanker coming out of port that takes down one of our most strategic areas on the East Coast to move hazardous waste, to move the chemicals, everything else in one of our major ports. Now, here nor there, I know one of the captains was a Ukrainian pilot, right? For a Ukrainian captain for the boat as well.
For this ship? No, it was it? I don't know. I didn't look that deep into it. I just know that it's an Indian
Two of them.
operated.
I'll see if I can try to find it.
I'll push back on your point that so first of all, we want to be cautious of trying to be like Russia did this, right?
I'm not saying Russia did it.
Yeah.
Most likely it's the U.S. government because they fuck everything up. Okay.
I was gonna say, if Russia did this, I think all the sock puppet accounts and pro-war propagandists out there would be screaming from the rooftops, trying to pin this on Putin, especially if there was some merit to the point that they actually did do it. I think they would, and then we'd probably be here making the counterpoint as to how he didn't do it, right? So
now, yes, 100%. So I also think it is a distraction from what we could obviously lead into the next thing is what's going on, P. Diddler. I think it's a distraction from that.
Well,
it literally happened a day after.
Yeah. Also a distraction from Julian Assange. He had his trial today, and also Putin said this. I don't know how true it is. I think we're going to be talking about this in another episode, but that like America was behind the terrorist attack in Russia.
He didn't say America was behind it. He said he wants to find out who was behind it. And he was like insinuating that if you know, he didn't say America was behind. He's like, if you know who was behind it, we want to know now, in a sense. He was probably more so insinuating that Ukraine had something to do with it,
funding Ukraine.
Yeah, they caught everybody running back to Ukraine, he was saying as well.
Right. Is that true or not, though?
Well, where the fuck else they going to run? China?
Right. Actually, it makes sense.
What's on the other side?
Yeah.
What's on the borders? Like, there's only two options, right? Maybe three.
Right. It actually would make sense. Like,
one of the stands or something.
Go to
over there.
Kazakhstan with Borat.
Kazakhstan, yes.
Uzbekistan, one of them.
Let's you guys want to move on to Diddy? Talk about that.
Diddler. Man,
that's a great nickname. Yeah.
So happy. I have
Captain's so happy he got the Diddler nickname.
Yeah. I used to like Bad Boy back in the day,
Bad Boy for life, bro.
Yeah, man. It was catchy back then. I try and tell people that like are just so head over heels in love with like certain artists. Taylor Swift, for instance, she has this fan base that's ready to go to war for her. And the music industry is nothing but a satanic cult. Yes. I mean, look at Britney Spears. Look how effed up she is now. That song, I'm a Slave for You, bitch, she was really a slave for you. I know. And you
guys watch the Nickelodeon thing?
I don't have HBO, but I'm dying to watch it. Nickelodeon, the same thing.
But
Hollywood, the same thing. So the music industry it's full of corrupt, evil people. I've said for years now, Diddy killed Biggie. He's the one who benefited the most from Biggie's death. Mm-hmm. Okay, he became famous. He started the record label after Biggie died. He was just Biggie's right-hand man. He was just a background dude for Biggie.
Did you know that P. Diddy's father worked for Frank Lucas and
I
sold
believe that.
heroin for the CIA?
Why not?
It's wild, right?
Why not?
Listen, what's that?
Who? So P. Diddy's dad?
P. Diddy's father
for Frank Lucas.
never seen bank like Frank White, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so. But I was reading an article the other day that P. Diddy's father worked for Frank Lucas, and then he ended up being like one of the heroin suppliers or dealers or whatever it was for the CIA when they were running their operations through there. So if you look deep in, whether that's 100% true or not, you can fact check me, go look. If you got something else you want to say in the comments, go ahead, right? But if you look at all these situations that these people are coming out, which this, I feel like P. Diddy was another honeypot situation just on the Jeffrey Epstein end. There's different circuits of them all over for different, it's like different stores almost. It's like, oh, I run Target, you run Walmart, I run this, but on this level. So I've been talking about this for so long, and everybody's like, you really think this is happening? You really had to. I told you so again. I told you so again. It's over and over again. And you can see they all have the same business models. Go recruit, go get fame, go get big houses, go have underground tunnels, go have, sex parties, go have, they were saying Diddy's houses are all wired as well. Where did we hear that before? Epstein's. They're saying there's tunnels underneath his grotto. Where did we hear that before? Epstein's
Oprah's
Island.
house.
Like Oprah's, like everywhere they go, they're like, there's tunnels. Even in fucking Uvalde, where they had that mass shooting with all the kids, they bulldozed that place because there was tunnels underneath that fucking elementary school. So we keep hearing tunnels over and over again, right? I don't know how many more times it's got to be thrown in your face. Now they're saying all the things about Nickelodeon, which we've been talking about. Look how many people came through that. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, you had Justin Timberlake. So many people that have, made their bones literally doing that. And then
while you're on the Nickelodeon thing, let me make one point on the Nickelodeon thing. I saw on Twitter the other day. So my wife recently watched the whole thing, and like I kind of watched in the background. But on Twitter the other day, the Nickelodeon thing, I saw a clip of it. Someone posted. And it was of Ariana Grande, and it was how the
doing the feet thing.
Like the feet thing, like
pouring water all over her face, moaning.
She's just a little child at the time, right?
She's 13.
Yeah, so like the director was making her do like weird things with a potato. Always like you could interpret them as like these sexualized things without them being actually sexualized. And I don't listen to Ariana Grande's music, but like I know her vibe and persona is like very hypersexualized, right? Her like now as an adult, like that's all her.
We all are.
Her whole thing
gotta be. That's how. Yeah.
But like
Riley's people,
you know what I mean?
Miley
Like if
Cyrus was Hannah Montana.
I'm just saying, like,
think
look at what was done to her as a child. Look at what was done to her as a child, and look at how she turned out now as an adult. Hypersexualized,
but she's still owned.
Sexualized as
she's
a child.
Still owned. That's why she's hypersexualized. She's still owned. She was owned by Nickelodeon, and now whatever record company even if she's the owner of the record company, it doesn't, she could be the owner on paper. The financier could be saying himself for all we know.
It was interesting how she didn't participate.
Doesn't matter if they're owned or anything. You know how much
because she's still active.
Damage, but you know how much psychological damage is done to 11, 12, 13.
That's the angle I'm going.
Now that they're 21, they don't know what a healthy sexual relationship is with another adult. They don't understand that because they've never had that.
You ever wonder?
Just been treated like property or trash. So
that's exactly the angle I'm trying to go with it here.
They have no clue how to have a normal relationship.
You ever wonder why they always have weird relationships and they date for like 2 weeks and then they run off to some island and get married and then 17 hours later they're getting a divorce because they don't know which way is up. They don't know how to be a normal human being. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen. I don't know if this goes for everybody, but like if you want to be the center of attention and you want to be famous so bad, like this many people are willing to do anything to get that fame and money and all that other shit. Like I always feel, and I could be wrong, but I just feel like there's something fucked up with you to begin with to want to be in that spotlight all the time. Like, I mean, I can understand like sports. I want to be the man. I want to be this, like, but like for acting, for make believe.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean,
but like,
they literally make believe.
They're playing make believe. They're grown people. It's fucking weird sometimes. I mean, like, listen,
like the territory attracts
grown
sociopaths,
men,
you know,
playing fake pretend.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that'd be
well,
It
like,
doesn't mean like
But
all of them
look
are,
at where
but
it starts. It
listen,
starts
I know
with
you
them.
guys like to LARP, so it's all right. I'm not trying to get in on that too bad, but I'm just saying, like it is weird at some sort of level, right?
Yeah.
yes, I agree.
But look at those children beauty pageant things. It starts from a small age, and your parents are forcing this on you, and you trust your parents, so you're just going along with it. And then an incident happens, but you got a contract in a TV show, so it doesn't. Your parents kind of just sold you out for that one, and then another incident, and then another incident, and then you become a little bit older, and look at what Harvey Weinstein was doing. You want to be in the movie? Well, sleep with me now, and you'll get into the movie. And so many of these incidences have happened, and outside of the incidents, you live a nice life because you get paid $20 million a year.
Yeah, but
you
you
have
see
the big house.
But you
You know?
see how fucked up they are. Do you
Yes,
see
but
how
in the
all
moment,
them
though, they're
go
probably
down the drugs
rationalizing
and
it to
everything else
themselves.
because they are, but then it comes at some point where the rationalization isn't
Yeah,
there.
well, a
They're
lot
just
of them don't
numbing
wake up.
the shit out of
What's
everything.
the thing? Stockholm syndrome?
Yes. Something
Think
like
how
that,
much of
yeah.
that
Sounds
goes
right.
on.
Yeah.
Think of I might
Yeah.
be right. Or like when a pimp beats one of his hoes and she shows up to work the next day. Oh, daddy
Yeah,
didn't
I
mean
hit
it.
you- I hit
It's
you 'cause
just
I love you.
it's the same thing, but these people are just operating with so much more money. But let's get back to
I was gonna
Diddler.
say, let's steer the ship
get back
here.
to
Better
Big
than the
Diddler.
ship that hit the Francis Scott
Yeah.
Key Bridge.
Yep.
I want to recent article. So let's this is interesting. Let's share the corporate news, the corporate press side of the
ABC
story
News.
here, how they're covering it, right? So
All right,
I have from
let's go.
ABC News.
It's
recently,
Trump's fault.
7 o'clock.
Yes.
Diddy's attorney responds to raids at hip hop moguls Los Angeles and Miami home. So there was his Miami home too, not just the LA one.
Yeah.
Got, raided.
Simultaneously.
An attorney for Sean Diddy Combs has responded to the raids that took place at his Los Angeles and Miami homes on Monday. In a statement released on Tuesday, Combs' attorney, Aaron Dyer, called the search warrants an unprecedented ambush and a witch hunt. Yesterday, there was gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences, Dyer began. There is no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. Mr. Combs was never detained, but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. Despite media speculation, neither Mr. Combs nor any of his family members have been arrested, nor has their ability to travel been restricted in any way, Dyer continued. This unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of these allegations, Dyer added. Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his name. Here's the spin from ABC News, which is interesting. Earlier Tuesday, law enforcement sources told ABC News that federal agents with Homeland Security investigations seized a number of electronic devices as part of the court-authorized searches of Combs' two properties. The searches carried out in Los Angeles and Miami were part of a federal sex trafficking investigation into the hip-hop and liquor mogul, the sources said. HSI agents flooded Combs' mansions and gathered evidence as part of an investigation led by prosecutors with the Southern District of New York. 4 women have filed civil lawsuits against Combs, accusing him of rape, sex trafficking, and other alleged abuses. He has denied all allegations of sexual misconduct. Several women have spoken with federal prosecutors in Manhattan, the sources said, who dispatched agents to try and gather evidence to corroborate their accounts. Southern District of New York. That's interesting. That's the place he's trying to bring down Trump.
My only point that I'm going to say is change the name from Sean Diddy Combs to Donald Trump, and the whole story's different.
Yeah.
Well, you saw him say wish hunt, ambush, all that
couple
stuff.
words in
All
there,
those
right?
It's weird.
words that
Couple
are
words.
Weird.
Witch hunt made it sound like they were trying to perhaps like now this is P. Diddy's lawyer, right? So he's trying to obviously like play his case. He's trying to like try his case in the public opinion as well as what's going to happen here. So witch hunt sounded, like he's trying to play perhaps to the Trump crowd to get that on his side. I hate how political all this shit is, right? But then it also sounds like he's trying to play to the leftist side of things where he's like, the police were militarized and the way they came in, it was an infringement on, like he was trying to play to that as well. So
Well, that's
It's interesting. It's interesting how they're just like, yeah, sex trafficking. You know, that's what this is about, and like how they're just openly ABC News and the other corporate press.
Sex trafficking. It doesn't need to be. The police don't need to be militarized for child sex trafficking.
These same outlets, when the movie came out in the summertime, well, I'm blanking on the movie.
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom came out. They smeared the Sound of Freedom as like right-wing QAnon conspiracy theory things. What was the Sound of Freedom about? It was about this sex trafficking, right? But now, now the corporate press, because Diddy got caught, they're now we're being honest, and the feds are being honest about it. It's very, very suspicious to me.
Just like I started there,
not the bridge. Fucking
that's the problem. Yeah. That's the problem, Garrett. But
he's the sacrificial lamb, just like Epstein was. But like, they were saying too, if you're reading into it and everything else, is like that all his places were wired. All his places had video and audio. All his places had all that same stuff. It's another honeypot operation. And they're using these people that are in these high places that have these fetishes. And they let Epstein, they knew what Epstein was doing to girls and kids and everything for years, and they let it happen. You're going to tell me right now, with all the people in these higher ups in this music industry and this entertainment industry, and everybody that said 50 Cent has been talking shit
50's been
on Diddy for years. He's like, he's fucking weird. He's like, I don't mess with him. I don't do nothing. Like, he's separated himself from there. And if you notice, everybody that was cool with Diddy was not cool with 50, you know? So there's a lot of people in this industry, and we all know, like, they've talked about it in the rap industry forever about those weird deals, and they're drugging these hood guys, and then they're having sex with them, and then they're giving them a shitty deal.
What did Cat Williams say? What did Cat Williams say? You want a movie deal for 10 years? Got to suck this dude's dick.
Yeah,
right. Like you don't think Diddy was like, "Come on, baby, we're gonna get lit tonight, baby. We're gonna drink some Ciroc, and you're gonna suck this dude's dick."
I'm just give you a record deal. Overall skeptical of this being like so out in the open and being and targeting Diddy too. The way I look at it is, and I know we kind of texted about this as we do with all these things, like. I don't see Diddy or anybody in like the culture creation area as the guys on top of these things that are happening. I see them as, like you're saying, like a honeypot operation, or people who just get off on participating in this crazy shit. I don't see them as like, I don't see P. Diddy as being like a leadership guy of some sex trafficking ring. He's definitely a guy in
20 is it 20?
What's that?
Somebody commented $20 is $20.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, whoever is really like the higher ups in these human trafficking organizations, there's someone probably in government and who's like beyond reproach. And when they burn someone like Diddy like this, it kind of like gives people the pound of flesh that they're looking for. Perhaps maybe not, but
yeah, my only thing is like people like Diddy and Jay-Z are so high up with their own record labels, working with the Illuminati, you know.
Well, there's I don't black nobility.
I don't disagree that these are the top guys, but they're definitely pretty high up there. But I still think it's scapegoating at the end of the day. And on top of it, hold on, boys, let me finish. Sorry. And on top of it, it's going to be like Epstein. They're going to take all this. Oh, we got devices, we got videos, we got emails. They're not going to release nothing. No one's going to be arrested. That was the problem. That's why they were so militarized, because they had to go in there and scrub all the stuff of Joe Biden hanging out at Diddy's mansion, diddling kids with the diddler. I'm done. There you go.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think it was just shine the light, sacrificial lamb. Let's get in there. We're going to do a controlled demolition. We're going to try to get all the higher drives, try to get everything out of there, and then we're going to seal the court case. We're going to seal the document, just like they do with Epstein. Once you see the playbook, it's just different things. Epstein was a different flavor. Like I said, he was the
elite
Taylor for those people coming over there, and the politics and the politicians and those type of people. I mean, but you also look who was on his plane. You have Jay-Z, you have Beyonce, that it's all on those lots.
Chris Rock,
and you're hearing more and more stuff come out. Like Diddy goes, if I'm going down, I'm taking Jay-Z and Beyonce down. Wait till you know what those guys do. Who's benefited so much of many deaths in hip hop. Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Big L starting it off, one of the best rappers of all time. He literally has benefited from so many people's deaths close to him. There was the whole thing about the girlfriend that he got pregnant that just ended up having a brain aneurysm. Then all of a sudden Beyonce's pregnant. They got their daughter. There's so many rabbit holes you could go down if you start really looking into all these guys. So, I mean, listen, I mean, you know, he's had songs, Lucifer, he's had songs, all this other shit. If you really start listening to this music and to these cadences and to these chants, it's all that shit. The more and more you listen to, all the new music is all about fucked up, weird shit.
That's where these guys wield power in the cultural space, where like P. Diddy and Jay-Z. My point is that they don't wield any like hard power, let's say, in the monopoly on violence space or the political space. Their power is in the cultural space. I'm not saying it's not important or anything.
Well, the titans of the industry.
Right. I'm not saying that's not important. And I've said many times culture is very important. It's actually probably sometimes more important than actually wielding hard power. But what I'm trying to say is that like it seems like people they're all in on this thing, right? People from the political hard power side and people from the culture side. And what you end up seeing here is, aside from Epstein, which we've all said, you know, there was not much justice because he's dead, and then Maxwell, that's it. It seems like no one from the hard monopoly on violence political side of this thing ever faces any accountability on it. But people from the cultural side of it, they do. Right? Like they're
smaller fish in the big pond.
You see what I'm trying to say? Like that's the kind of picture I'm painting here.
I don't disagree. Can we also bring up for the fact that this dude straight up ran to an island that's not going to extradite?
Well, I don't know if he did. People, I think, seen him in Miami.
Well, that's what they were saying.
He didn't run. I'm just saying that's the official story. Maybe he, you know, the first story that was going to Ivory Coast or something like that. But that's not where he was at. He actually is, obviously.
Well, we'll see if anybody knows where he is.
Maybe he moved the plane. Maybe he moved the plane so that the plane can't get repossessed or something like that, but seized by the government. So he moved it to one of the Caribbean islands where it's now like physically not in the States, something like that. I don't know.
Maybe he parachuted somewhere out, like over Texas, and he's going to go.
Tupac. He's with Tupac right now, wherever he's at.
Yeah, Tupac's fucking him up somewhere.
Any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
I would love to see Tupac testify at the Diddy trial.
That would be.
He comes in like Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Kick in the door should be playing as they both walk through it.
But he has to show up like the Mad Max music video.
Oh, yeah. Like phone, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Cap, you want to do tweets of the week? I think you have new ones.
I got two ones.
Yeah, Garrett, if you want, man, start saving some tweets of the week.
Oh, dude,
so you can participate.
It's not fun.
I always find funny shit.
Hang on, let me move. I'm still getting the hang of here. This
stream.
You're doing a great job so
Thank
far,
you.
Scagz.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so tweets of the week. For those who are watching, we pick out our favorite or funniest or most thought-provoking tweets every week, and we show them on the podcast. So my first one is by Charlotte Climber. She goes, "The Civil War."
Hold on, it's not sharing. It's just the.
It's not.
It's just a Google Doc.
Hit that switch on the slide. There you go.
Okay, I'm learning here. So Charlotte Climber, the Civil War was 4 years, 1 month, and 2 days. America's participation in World War II was 3 years, 8 months, and 29 days. The Trump era, if you count from the day after the 2016 election, has been 7 years, 4 months, and 19 days. I worry a lot about general public fatigue. We have to be vigilant against exhaustion. We have to remind each other that Trump wants the American people to give up and resign themselves to his ego and will. That's his only chance if we give up. This crazy bitch just tried to fucking compare just Trump's existence to the World War II.
Dude, I know.
Civil
this
War.
Is what we're dealing with, though, bro.
Trump derangement syndrome.
I comment. I'm like, you just compared two wars where over 1 million Americans died just to having to deal with Donald Trump running for president.
I know, it's insane.
I hope Trump becomes president, and instead of like rehabilitation camps, like we just take these loons and like bust them down to like Washington, and they just have to spend a day with Trump. And he's like on 10 the whole time. He's like, China.
Probably end up fucking loving him.
Drank like 24 Diet Cokes all hopped up. He's like, woo!
All right, Cap, I'm gonna go on to your first one. I guess I gotta keep pushing this button every time. There we go.
All right. It is from @Skelly for Liberty. Good morning, friends. And it is a cartoon of a man dressed as a king screaming out loud, "I'm the dumbest man alive." And then in the next slide, a little person says, "The government grants us our rights." And the king bows down and takes his crown off and hands it to the little dummy and says, "You're clearly dumber."
Fair enough.
So I just want to hop in here real quick because we're still getting used to this. So Shell and JD in the chat, I just figured out how I can look at your comments. So sorry, we're not getting back to you.
Well, I saw JD's the 20s of 20.
I can share them too here. Apparently, which one?
Well, he was talking about we had the 2020 there. Then he was saying Diddy didn't get to the island just as plane, which we did go over. And then he said add in that Trump called the widow of the cop that was killed today, and the 2 tunnels to towers just paid off her mortgage. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that he does that he doesn't get shine for, and I mean I commend that because I'm a big advocate of I hate those people that like go on YouTube and film themselves handing people
cleaning
money
up
like,
garbage.
I'm a good person. I put my shopping cart. Just be a good person. You don't have to film.
Put the fucking shopping cart back.
Just put it back.
We had that debate. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So stupid.
I'm so tired of that debate that I actually have bowed down and put the shopping carts back.
You better. Yeah.
I'm just so tired of that debate.
Yeah, no, don't be a lazy piece of shit.
All right, back to the
Can't help it.
And Shell. Sorry, Shell. We saw you too.
Shout out to Shell. And JD there for commenting.
Yeah.
This is a good political cartoon, Cap. You're seeing that idea be thrust into the narrative a lot lately. People like casually mentioning that your rights come from the government and not inherent. Like I don't think we'll maybe in our next episode with Sean Chris talk about Operation Mockingbird a little bit, but I don't think that's by accident. Where like the foundational principle of America is negative rights, where like the documents here limit what the government can do. It doesn't say the government gives us our rights. We just have the rights. People are literally now just saying the opposite. So
no, that's the problem. People they've misconstrued this so much to make you think like, no, all these documents were written so these motherfuckers couldn't tell us what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a whole theory of the Mandela effect. They're just trying to rewrite history.
Maybe. Or if there was just, if you repeat a lie often enough and eventually it becomes true. Right. So,
Very fine people in Russia.
Yes, and bloodbath, right?
Yeah, bloodbath.
All right, let's move on. We got two more tweets, and then we'll wrap it up. So this one is from Shia Reichik. If you don't know who she is the Libs of TikTok creators, the person who's behind the Libs of TikTok account. And she says, Happy Purim from Rome. The Arch of Titus was built to celebrate the Roman Empire's victory over Jerusalem when they destroyed the Second Temple and exiled the Jews. Nearly 2,000 years later, and the Roman Empire is long gone. Other nations have tried to destroy the Jewish people. They all failed. Today on Purim, we commemorate yet another time in history when God saved the Jewish people from an evil empire. Hamas will not succeed. They will fall like all the others before them. This one like annoyed me. I'm not going to lie, right? It's taking a shot at our history here now. At the Roman history, at Italian history. I've been to the Arch of Titus there in Rome. It's a really cool place. Yeah, this is so weird. Like these conservative influencers who play this like grievance politics, just the way the woke leftists do when it comes to Israel. They say like they become the wokest people just when it comes to Israel.
Yeah.
Like, are we now going to start talking about the Native Americans and Mount Rushmore and how, I could see a leftist.
If it could be entered in, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see a leftist standing in front of Mount Rushmore and making a very similar post about how, like, these people tried to ruin the Navajo Nation. And, here we are now. We're still here standing strong in the evil empire or whatever like that. It turns me off. I have to comment here. The first thing this reminded me of is The Sopranos. Where they were going after some Jewish mafia guy, and the Jewish mafia guy goes to Tony and Paulie. It goes in the Romans. Where are they now? And Tony and Paulie go, "You're looking at them, asshole." Dude, I got 18,000 impressions
at him.
I love that. That's funny. That is funny.
Interesting. This grievance politics of the right is very, very unbecoming. Some people who, like, libs of TikTok made its bones on opposing that sort of thing.
Yep.
But then they're
just
worst
dumb and they fall for it as well.
of it.
Listen.
All right.
So this is a truth.
A truth. There you go.
Yeah, a truth.
A truth.
Right.
I like it. Is
Let
it
me
AOC and Diddy together?
Oh boy.
I can't. So I can't see it on the screen, but I can pull it up on my phone.
You don't see it?
No, I see it, but it's super small. I don't know exactly how to make this full screen.
Can you
Yet.
read it? No, I
got it. We got Ultra Pepe Lives Matter on Truth Social. March 21st, 2024. AOC says RICO is not a crime to Biden crime family whistleblower. March 25th, 2024. Sean Diddy home raided in sex trafficking case where it is alleged he ran an inner circle as a RICO enterprise that functioned like a criminal organization. Rules for me, but not for thee. Or how did that go? Rules for you, but not for me.
Interesting.
Well, I think it was funny when she was fighting with a lawyer about it.
Yeah.
And
A RICO is not a crime.
it's not a crime.
It's
It is
a
a category.
fucking
The guy's
crime.
like, it's a category of crime, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so many. Did I send you the guys where she's like fighting with them and she's got the helmet on?
No, but
to
you
beat
sent
with
the
help?
picture of her with the MAGA hat on and her ass up in the booty
that was
shorts.
nice.
That was a good one.
Very
That
nice.
made my night. Very nice.
Very nice.
That is
Yes.
nice.
We just want to date her, I guess. You could
Yeah,
say.
we all
too.
do.
Look, man, we talked about AOC back when we had on Jose Vega, who's running for for Congress, and the whole RICO thing was her just like blanket defending Biden.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far she's fallen.
Who
She
pays
went
her
from, like, the
paychecks?
upstart,
Yeah.
progressive, gonna shake things up in Congress and go after the establishment, to now like
Get in line, bitch.
lying
Yeah.
about RICO
Get in line.
to defend Joe Biden of
Well,
all
the
people. Like she
craziest
could just not
Who
do
else is
anything.
gonna sniff her if
You just-
Daddy Biden ain't gonna?
She could do what Trump does and just like very carefully just not strategically say anything. Instead,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? No, she's like going
think
hard.
it's
She's making up like RICO's not a crime. That's where she's at in
Well, I
terms
also
of
get a
defending
lot
Biden.
of people on like my social media that I know are lefties that like I grew up with and stuff, and they're so quick to call out the other side, and they're always like, "Yeah, they think they're so like supreme intelligence over you and everything else." And then when I'll post something like that where she's blatantly lying, she's blatantly lying. Like, why don't you call that out if you're so like, oh, I'm just for the
Because they
betterment of
can't take
people and
one on the
everything?
chin.
They can't, like, and I have a buddy of mine that like I know sees my shit and he posts the most off shit all the fucking time.
Oh,
the
good.
other
Start
side
sharing
point
it
of
here.
view and all that other shit. But like then he'll like make his argument and he'll be like say shit like that, like, oh, Mount Rushmore and Navajos and blah 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 blah. But like I'll blatantly post that and she's lying. And why wouldn't you like what did we say the last episode when he wasn't on? What was the first thing I did? I said Scagz don't like when I do, like he says, oh, Trump this, but I'm like, I'll call him out on those vaccines. I'll call him out on that shit. If I don't like it, I still say something, whether it's one side or the other. We call out the Republican side all the time. Now, granted, none of us are really Republicans, so it is what it is. But like, like we call out both sides all the time.
I think it's not what you're talking about. It's not even just necessarily like a leftist thing. Like people don't like to be wrong.
I say it all the time.
Humans could be the most obviously wrong, and some will go to the fucking grave.
The sky is purple.
You know what I mean? Like it's just that's a little bit of human nature in there as well.
Perfect example.
Politics and like when you wear your fucking pride on your sleeve, it's even worse.
How are you going to grow if you can't admit that you were wrong?
I agree. Yeah.
They don't need to
Most
grow.
people never
They're
grow up.
perfect.
I will tell
They're
you.
perfect with all their participation awards.
So, Chris, craziest thing. I have somebody that can't admit that they're wrong. All right, I will not give names because they are related to my wife. But
Your mother-in-law. Okay, go on.
Not her. But fought me about the jab. Stopped talking to our family about it. Everything else. Fought us on
It's
it.
just one of those, huh?
Told me that I was going to kill his parents if they came to Christmas dinner at my house, all that other stuff. Forced them to get the jab. His mother ended up getting the jab and had like 16 strokes in 2 months. And now he ended up having a stroke, paralyzed whole side of his body. Still won't even talk to me, say I was wrong. Still thinks he was in the right. And I'm like, you can't even use your fucking face. And you still won't admit that you maybe.
Hope you walk up to him and go, did. didn't work.
I don't even. But that's what I'm saying.
Look,
It's come to such extreme point where like you spent time in the hospital, can't even use half your face, and you're still like, let's get another one.
I still feel bad and have pity for somebody.
Or sorry,
like
I was wrong. You were right.
They're a victim. I know a lot of you guys probably don't have
natural selection.
They're a victim though of the regime. They really are. And they
natural selection. We weeded out the dumb ones.
Reserved for the people in charge that did.
We weeded out out one of the dumb ones.
That's fine. That's fine. Not saying it's not.
You know, I said this a lot when COVID was big. You know, when there's a new world and we move forward, we don't need people like this. You don't have a seat at the table. We don't need people like this. Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
I concur.
one more. You guys see this right now? I'm
yep, you're good.
Messing around here with this. So one more tweet. This will be my own. I'll toot my own horn here.
Toot it.
I was replying to the video that we were sending earlier, or at least part of it, about Trump and his Israel thing, and I was actually replying to Anomaly. Mm-hmm. He was saying this clip of Trump talking about peace in Israel and Palestine is going viral. How do you perceive this clip? A call for ceasefire and peace, or a call for Israel to go harder before peace?
Fair enough.
So I said he's being very cautious, tightrope walking a position of not alienating the real America Firsters, the Zionists, and even the leftists who are upset with Biden's handling of the war. So I'm shouting myself out because even Anomaly said great take to me on that one. But maybe we'll end it on that question to you guys. Because I feel like we're just going crazy at that part of the podcast. And I meant to ask this question, but then I forgot, so I never did. How did you perceive the clip? A call for ceasefire and peace, or a call for Israel to go harder before peace?
Well, end the war and end it fast. You got to go harder to get the job done like that. So I'm a fan of Trump, so I'll be a little biased, and I would like to say it's peace. But, take his other words, go, end this war fast. You're going to have to make some changes. They're going to have to deal some blows.
Garrett, what do you think?
I think you could perceive it as like, all right, you got to get hard and wrap this up, right? Or it could also be taken as like, listen, you're losing popularity, you're losing everything else. You need to come to some sort of peace agreement, because he kept saying we need
that
peace.
will bring popularity back. Yeah,
we need peace, and we had peace, and the Abraham Accords he went into and all that other stuff, like reminding him like there was no fucking problem until this guy got in. And you guys start letting this shit happen. Like there was no problem, and why there wasn't no problem, right? So I think it could be taken either way. Like, all right, hit it on home and lock it down, or like you guys need to figure out what. At the end of the day, but at the end of the day, if their only final plan is to just wipe them off the planet, like that's going to be a hard no for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because
that's the whole problem with this.
My other thing is like you didn't like that when somebody tried to do that to you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think the Trump supporters are going to have to come to grips with that as well. Like, if that's what Trump is going to support also if he becomes president, like, I know a lot of people are going to be like, fuck it,
still doesn't mean we have to support,
But again, just hear me out. Yeah. Like, okay, like, all right, like, if you're going to, I know people who be like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. Who cares? Not my problem. Like, all right, you're talking about like literally white massacring a group of people in an enclave in a certain area.
I think
you know what? We should be pissed about fucking Africa, because this shit's been going on. They've been genociding each other.
Our money ain't funding some of them.
Long.
Some of them. Our money ain't funding some of it. If our money's fucking funding, I'm not talking about like if these things are happening elsewhere. Like it's happening
down there.
It's happening between like Azerbaijan and Armenia as well, but we're not as like inextricably tied to the situation there. I'm talking about like something that we have our fucking blood on our hands for. Not us, the three of us, or at least our government here, our tax dollars too.
I would say
I want to put it here. I don't want them spending any of my tax dollars on anything.
Yeah. I would say at the end of the day, though, that Trump is maybe looking for peace, because for most of his, for all of his presidency, it was about peace. You know what I mean? And it's him touting, his accomplishments of, creating this type of peace. But I don't know. I kind of feel like that it might have been for peace.
Coney, whatever happened with that guy? You guys remember that?
Oh man, he woke up one day and had 400 million enemies. That was great.
Yeah, I think we'll end it there. There's a whole I could go down a rabbit hole on problems with Trump's Abraham's Accords and things like that, but
Yep.
we're already an hour and 20 minutes in here. So
Yep.
yeah,
good.
Garrett, you want to try anything out before we get out of here?
No, man, I just, you know, if you guys want to give me, go follow me over at IG, my name, Garrett Colesbury. Go follow over there. You can check out the other podcast when I do it at Sergeant and the Samurai. You guys can go check it out over there.
Yeah,
And
Steven texted me, actually.
always like, share, and subscribe and follow. That really helps us all. Like sharing our content, that really helps. So, you know, like we're in this digital war together. So we always share each other's content and we collab on a lot of stuff because, you know, the message is bigger than all of us. So, you know, just get it out there, and hopefully you guys like our takes on everything. And I know we're all similar, but we're all very different. We have different opinions,
And that's okay.
And it's okay. We like to have this Discord, and we don't agree on everything, but it's a way to, you know, get out there and get back to a healthy relationship between us and that government. So yeah, we're in that.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, Doom Nation, thank you guys for joining. Scagz, any final words?
Oh, that's it.
Nope, that's it. There you go, boys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody that joined the live, thank you guys. Check out our link tree down there, 2 Doom Men. Adios, everybody.